Growing up in a farming community and having family members at that farm really got me connected to the farming community. It's a group of people that take pride in what they do and have a real sense of community that I can relate to.
What makes us unique at Grimble B. Coleman is that we have a dedicated team of folks that work with the ag industry. We have people that have personal backgrounds that came from a farming background and have spent time with clients and really learn the industry and learn the challenges that our clients face. Business advisory is us going beyond the traditional compliance work and looking for those projects where we can really partner with our clients and give them some additional insight.
It's important to have a relationship with your clients because if you don't have that relationship, you tend to stay on the surface. You tend to stay transactional. By having a relationship, you get to know your clients and your client's business is a lot better. You understand the challenges that they're trying to overcome, and by having that additional relationship with them, you're able to solve some of those problems that you might not get to if you only had that surface level relationship.
Just talk a little bit about what Modesto Junior College is doing to be responsive to industry needs in ag and related areas.
Okay. I think one of the things, and I was making reference to a document that was published through the Stanislaus County Workforce Development and Opportunity Stanislaus, because it has a section in here that actually speaks to what industry is looking for business representation suggests to improve education. So some of the things they said, listen to employers, be flexible, work collaboratively, problem solving, affordable training, develop funding opportunities for students. So I think one of the things as we're looking at developing the relationships is to listen. The very first thing they said is listen to them. I mean, when we have an extensive advisory committee, we have about 50 to 60 individuals on our advisory committee, and anytime you bring our industry folks together, we should be listening more than we're talking. And unfortunately, a lot of those scenarios, it's stand and deliver what we're doing, and we don't have enough opportunities to hear from them. So I think that relationship building, the networking is extremely important. Getting out, taking opportunities in the summer to go out and visit the business industry. I think it's a positive thing to go forward with and developing those relationships that, again, are able to bring back to the classroom, because we're able to go through and network. And I think that's extremely important with education.
Excellent. Dave, can you start us off on what Stanislaus State is doing to be responsive to industry?
Sure. Well, one thing that's kind of exciting is some of us have been working for some time to develop a food safety curriculum. And after some fits and starts, I think that's finally got some traction, and I look forward to that really evolving over the next academic year. The National Ag Science Center, as I mentioned before, has helped us both in terms of outreach to schools and industry, but also helping to make our science majors, our science students, aware of some of the opportunities in the ag industry. I go back to the importance of internships and service learning opportunities. That's a great way to kind of respond to the important points that Don mentioned in order to kind of hear what industry needs are. And when we have conversations about internship opportunities and service learning opportunities, it forces us to kind of understand what the needs of industry are so that we can be more responsive.
Rotimi, some other Stanislaus thoughts on being responsive to industry needs?
Yeah, one area that we've kind of been working on for quite some time, and I'm happy that there was I think it's 250,000 donation that was used to set up entrepreneurship program in the College of Business. Right now, we've been teaching an entrepreneurship class in the ag program for about 5 years now, and that allows us not only to have students think outside the box, but also engage the industry in helping, serving as mentors to the students, giving them, exposing them to challenges in the industry so that they can work on. Then the other area is we involve professionals from the industry in our curriculum development. I think that's really very important to ensure that we are in tune with some of the challenges and emerging technologies in the industry, so that we are not training students for 10 years ago instead of training them for 10 years to come. Then the other area is also networking with other institutions to know what are the important things going on. I have served as a judge at the Innovate to Grow program at UC Merced, and I've been able to see the creative ideas that students come up with and also opportunities in the industry. So I think that's really very important. And we also do the same thing here at Stan State, inviting faculty from outside to work with us, not only letting us know what opportunities they are coming up in their institution, but what are all those strategic relationships and partnerships with the industry that they have that we can either tap into or help facilitate on their area. We also try to work with the UC system, UC extension, that are really involved in ag extension to really know how well to serve farmers, because a good number of our students, probably 90% of them, I'm sure too, with the MJC ag program, a good number of them are from ag background, they are from ag families, some of them really want to go back. And so being able to really nurture these new minds, not only through the internships where they go to the industry, but also in the classroom, so that we are developing leaders in the ag industry that are really attuned to the dynamics of the industry. Is really very important, and we are trying to do that at Stan State. Thank you.
Colleen, what about UC Merced?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, as I mentioned before, like the events and the ag tech roundtables, trying to listen to industry. We also have like a stakeholder advisory group, and we meet more often. And I think what Don said is really important, like more listening than talking at them and giving them PowerPoint presentations. Luckily, Citrus is run by Lee Bernacki, Dr. Lee Bernacki, who's like a social scientist. So she's done some like surveys and interactive activities and trying to do breakout rooms, still not the same as in person. So I'm looking forward to hopefully getting more back to normal with that. And so the capstone projects, we do get a lot of like networking and experience, not just with the students, but with the faculty to listen in. And I try to do, and others do, like community-based participatory research. So really addressing the need. And same with some of our other, we have a engineering like research center, NSF funded grant, and one with the multi-campus research funded initiative through the UCs, and we have stakeholder advisory groups, so we try to get feedback. And I always try to like at least have 1 to 2 like industry or like professionals speak in my classes, and like informally I do ask them like, how can I better prepare my students for their careers? And our career center is trying to have, I think, more ag tech themed, and I've been to some of the events where they've had people from the agricultural industry at those events, so students can get exposed to those careers.
Excellent. Let's stay with you and move on to the comment from industry is typically about the lack of responsiveness of education to industry need. How do we address this challenge?
Right, yeah, this certainly is a challenge to address the lack of response. Again, with the timelines, it's just even stuff, textbooks aren't like updated like very frequently. But I think we're seeing with more of this kind of open access and like open information, and especially with COVID and the science responding more and like rapidly to the needs of like the community and industry. So hopefully we'll see that a little bit more, but we really need to listen. And of course, I would say the funding agencies need to also incentivize that for academia to be able to be more responsive.
Rotimi, can you talk a little bit about Stan State's responsiveness?
Yeah, I will agree with what Colleen just said, because the timeline is different from industry versus academia. And what we're trying to do in such a situation is to try to engage some of these industry partners as we are planning some of our programs. And even relation in terms of grants that we apply for, we try to engage them even at the planning stage to know what is feasible, because it would be a very bad thing to give them work on a timeline that is really very not convenient for them. Usually they want their things almost, I mean, faster than we do in academia. So that's one thing that I think we are trying to address. The other thing that we also try to do is to also use our students, because some of the students work with them. Some of our students are full-time workers in some of these companies, and then they really can give us objective feedback as to how to better approach some of the issues that we may be having problems with, and also tapping through those information that we get, listening more than we are trying to teach them. So yeah, thank you.
And Dave?
I think Colleen and Rotimi touched on some really important points, specifically the difference in timelines and incentives between industry and academics, and industry and granting agencies. I know that Rotimi's program also has an advisory board as a way to kind of listen to representatives from the ag industry, and the National Ag Science Center also has a board of industry representatives. And that just keeps taking us back to Don's point of the importance of listening. And this question also brings up this tension between our dual roles of training students for jobs when they graduate and training for students for careers that don't exist yet.
And Dawn, thoughts from Modesto Junior College?
Yeah, I guess my thoughts are going to be very similar, but I think education is like a large cruise ship heading in one direction. And at least we hope to think so. It's not the USS Minnow, so to speak. But so for us, to change direction, we can't change the direction on a dime. If we want to change an existing program, if all the stars lined up perfectly, you're looking about a year. To start a new program, you're at least looking at a minimum of 2 years. So industry, very and rightly so, that's not acceptable. I mean, to make those changes. So it is a challenge there. They see things as a need right then. They see time as money and need those changes done instantaneously if possible. So one of the things we do and offer is a contract ed option to be able to do some contracts with them, to be able to get some things in place while we're working in parallel with developing a program or changing a program, but at least to be able to go through and develop a contract with them for delivering services for a particular industry.
Okay, Don, let's stay with this since you brought up the contract ed, and the other point that industry tends to bring up is common themes. So what is MJC doing to address common themes from industry, such as soft skills development and certification training?
I want to make reference to the same document that I shared earlier, because this is what they call as common critical skills in the area of agriculture is adaptability, strong communication, critical thinking, interpersonal skills, dependability, the STEM skills, time management, and problem solving. And in education, we've seen this, SCAN skills, soft skills, they're all embedded into what we do. And it's how we teach what we teach, I think, and those environments that we have for students outside the classroom to apply some of those problem solving skills, the communication skills, and those things. It's the opportunities through internships and through a work experience that really help bring home what we teach in the classroom, where they apply, or we hope they apply, what we've taught them, and they utilize it in the industry.
Dave, can you enlighten us on the Sten State perspective?
Sure. I think this is an area where internships can be really important as well, because when students hear from employers the importance of those soft skills, it's more impactful sometimes than hearing it from a professor or even a career counselor. One of the things that we are doing in higher ed is incorporating more kind of team-based projects so that students kind of get practice working in teams and collaborating, bringing different skill sets to bear on a single problem. And I think that's a skill that will pay off when students kind of enter industry.
Rotimi, some additional thoughts from the Stan State perspective?
Yeah, in addition to that, I think one thing we're trying to do is to ensure that some of our teaching pedagogy relates to the current situation, because if you're trying still to teach students on how to do accounting on a sheet of paper, that's really outdated. And also even letting students realize the importance of kind of what Dave said, team projects, working in teams, because students typically don't want to do that. They're always telling you this person is a slacker, this person is this, but ensuring that they understand that it's not just about one person is trying to build that skill of working in a multicultural, multidisciplinary team and getting the job done. The other issue too that the other way we try to do this is to bring in alumni, because students see the value better if another student has gone to the industry and come back to tell you, oh, in AgriCon, you actually need chemistry to understand some of the agrochemicals you are going to be selling. So that drives home the point, because ordinarily if you say, oh, I'm an ag economist, I really don't need chemistry, I don't need this. But if an alum comes back and say, oh, I work with these so and so agrochemical companies and I'm selling agrochemicals, it's easy for them to realize, okay, you really don't just need your communication skill in terms of sending emails, in terms of use access to some new apps or technology. You also need to really talk. So when faculty say you need to do the presentation, there is value in that. So these are one of the ways we also try to engage students and help them develop it. And most of our capstone classes and writing proficiency, we call them writing proficiency classes, that help students in improving their writing proficiency, embed some of areas in which they can develop some of these soft skills that are necessary. So yeah, thank you.
Excellent. And Colleen?
Yeah, UC said, like, for more of a technical side, we do have like a UAV, like unmanned aerial vehicle training, which can be very time intensive and like it would be very valuable if you go into that field. As far as like the professional skills, as I'd like to call them, I think the soft skills like make it seem like it's not as important. We are, there's promoting workshops for students and integrating it in the classroom, as the others have said, like I have a team project in one of my classes for sophomores and juniors, and it can be painful for the students, like, and they've never written like an engineering report before. And when I do talk to professionals, they're like, students need to write better. And that's difficult for some of our STEM majors sometimes, and particularly our students, a lot of first generation college, low income family, like their parents never like had a professional job. So there's a lot of like hidden curriculum or things they don't understand. Like I'm first generation college and came from lower income background. So I've been integrating those kind of program, like workshops into the summer bridge program to prepare them for university, but also for their careers. And like the others said, like bringing in those professionals to tell them that they need it, to reinforce that, because it is more meaningful when they're like, yeah, you do need this and it's important and it can help you make more money. Like, of course you do want to serve society and help people, but also saying like, this is going to help you be successful, like in gratification and helping others, but also to have like a living wage.